Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Langley. I am both a family medicine doctor and a lactation consultant and a mother of 5 kiddos. And I've breastfed them all. I also happen to be a Leche League leader. I try to support my community in whatever way I can, especially when it comes to the things I've got experience with. So today I wanted to talk about breast milk sharing, especially with this formula shortage that's going on right now. It's a hot topic. People are talking about it a lot. People are talking about making up their own formulas at home or using old-time recipes at home for being able to feed their babies. And I understand where you're coming from. I mean, in the face of feeding your child or not feeding your child, you're going to do whatever you can to provide food for your child. And babies less than 6 months can't eat anything else besides formula or breast milk. The concern that I have about homemade formulas, just off the top of my head, is something that I don't see commented on very much on social media, but the electrolytes present in those recipes are not always a guarantee that they're safe for your baby. Baby kidneys really can't handle that much salt and other electrolytes, and can cause damage to their little baby kidneys if you get them wrong in the formula. So continue to reach out and find resources, whether that's breast milk, whether that's formula, but the homemade formula does make me a little bit nervous. But that being said, I mean, breast milk, as you've seen in my other videos, I'm a big fan of breastfeeding. It can be definitely difficult, and there's not enough support for moms in general in learning how to breastfeed. So that's why I'm on here trying to do videos to make it easier to prepare yourself while you're pregnant and whatever. If you're sitting on a computer and want to watch my videos and that helps you a little bit, then my work here is done. But when it comes to sharing human milk, I mean, there's so many benefits to human milk over formula, and it's awesome that formula exists because I love babies and I want them all to live and thrive, and that formula helps us to achieve that. But whenever I can, I encourage my patients to set goals for breastfeeding, whether that's a day of breastfeeding, a week, a year, whatever works for them, and I try to support them to achieve that. But sometimes that doesn't work and you're not able to provide breast milk for your baby, and sometimes that works too much and you've got an oversupply, and that's kind of a dangerous thing for you and your baby. It can lead to mastitis and some difficulties with breastfeeding. So it's not something to try to achieve, but if you do have a little bit of extra milk, especially, and you want something good to do with it, donating milk is a cool thing that exists these days. So my favorite is the HMBANA, is the Human Milk Bank Association of North America, just making sure that I got that right. Human Milk Banking Association of North America. And that's a whole bunch of organizations across North America that work to provide breast milk, especially to preemies that really, really benefit from it. I mean, it's just amazing. Some of the scariest things that can happen to preemies, like neck or necrotizing enterocolitis, can be just about 100% prevented by using human milk. So it's just so cool that this organization exists. It does pasteurize the human milk because these babies just can't handle any kind of infection. And even though, yes, it does decrease some of the nutritional value of breast milk, it's still a lot better than anything else we've got. And it helps keep these babies safe. And so I've donated breast milk with 2 babies through that organization, once in Oklahoma and once here in Colorado. And they screen their donors and test the milk and then pool all the milk together, and then are able to get little bits of it. And it's important, especially for preemies, to get just the right calories and nutritional counts in the milk that they're providing. So by combining milk from different donors, they can achieve just the right kind of milk for that baby, which is good for me. I happen to have babies that can't have fat in their diets, of all things. So when I donate milk, that's actually just the fat from my breast milk that I'm donating. So it's a unique situation for me, and I'm happy that I can donate to them, and they can use that fat to increase the calories and the fat content of the milk they're providing for the preemies as they need to. Whereas there's nowhere else I could really donate that to. Just a mom doesn't just need breast milk fat to feed her baby. She needs a balance of the skimmed milk and the breast milk. So that's one option for donating breast milk. The process for that is I filled out a questionnaire. I talked with her folks on the phone. I filled out a consent that they could contact my doctor and make sure that my doctor wasn't aware of any reasons that I shouldn't be donating breast milk. It helps that I also donate blood on a regular basis, so that they know that if that's something that's been approved already, then I'm probably not harboring any infectious diseases that could go through my breast milk and hurt a baby. And then they go through some information with me about how to collect and store my breast milk to keep it safe. So that was a process. It wasn't too big of a deal. I went and had my labs drawn today for them to be checked to make sure that I don't have things like hepatitis, HIV, things like that could be transmitted from me to a baby if they weren't checking for that. So that's what the process has been like for me. If you're interested, hopefully that helps set your mind at ease of what a big deal it is. This particular organization in Colorado Springs requires that I donate 150 ounces, but I have until my baby is 18 months old to do that. And I usually collect the fat off of my breast milk and can get 5 ounces every 2 to 3 days. So it looks like I'm going to be just fine with reaching that 150 ounces eventually, and I stick it in the freezer as I collect it, and then I'll bring it over all together to the collection site. Another thing that lots of women do, though, is do informal breast milk sharing. So that's things like Eats on Feets, or milk share, or human milk for human babies, or even just straight up wet nursing, having someone else nurse your baby straight from the source. And that's obviously been around for centuries. That's part of how human beings have survived, especially before formula existed, was through informal milk sharing. And there's a lot of people who have very strong feelings one way or another on whether that's appropriate, whether it's safe. I don't have strong feelings one way or another. I think that I can definitely relate to if your baby's hungry, you're going to do whatever you can to find that. But it does make me a little bit nervous sometimes, especially when it's sold for money. The fear of that is that if you're making money off of this breast milk, then you might be tempted not to feed your baby the milk that your baby needs, and that really needs to be the priority. Or that you add additional things. You add cow's milk to kind of bulk it up to be able to make more money. Just lying to get money is just a thing that human beings tend to do sometimes. So that makes me a little more nervous when money is involved, though I can understand that things like the bags can get expensive for transporting the milk from one person to another. So rather than money, I'm always a big fan of providing the actual supplies to the person who's donating the milk, so that there's just no question about what this is being used for. Things to be thinking about if you're thinking of feeding your baby through an informal milk sharing agreement would be medications that mom is on, and testing for those kind of transmissible diseases we talked about. HTLV1, HIV, hepatitis B would all be on my mind. And just day-to-day things that person might be doing that would affect their breast milk. That includes tobacco or alcohol or illegal drugs. Those would all be transmitted through the breast milk at certain levels. So I want to make sure and I want you to make sure that you really trust this person and ask for the labs or pay for the labs if that's within your means, to ensure that this is going to be safe. You can also, it's having every single possible nutrient in the breast milk is awesome. But there's always a chance that, especially if it was slightly mishandled, left at a wrong temperature for too long, bacteria can grow in breast milk. So the way to kill those bacteria and even some of the viruses, you can pasteurize that milk at home. It's still amazing stuff. It's still breast milk. It still has a lot of nutritional value for your baby. And the best way that I've heard of is just to heat it up in a double boiler. You want to heat up about 50 to 150 milliliters of milk at a time. Put it in a jar or something else that's heat-proof, not plastic. Put it in a pan of water so that and fill it with water so that it's about 2 finger width of the water is 2 finger widths higher than the milk. So the milk is totally submerged in that jar in the water. You want to bring that water to a rolling boil on high heat while the milk is sitting in it. And then as soon as that you get the big bubbles of boiling in the water, you know that it's reached the right temperature. You can pull that milk out, let it cool at room temperature, or by sitting it in some cooler water to help it cool a little bit faster. And then after it's at room temperature, it's safe to feed to your baby. Probably put some kind of lid or covering or clean towel on top of the milk while it's cooling, because man, if a fly came by and landed in my nice pasteurized breast milk, I'd be pretty upset. So just some thoughts for you on milk sharing. There's all sorts of cool websites to help guide your decision as well. I'll link to them in the comments. And this video also might be interesting to you, and make sure you subscribe to our channel here at Pine Ridge Family Medicine to find out when we release more videos. Thanks for watching.